It was a crisp autumn morning when Emily Harris disappeared. The sun had just started to rise, casting a golden hue across the sleepy suburban neighborhood of Maple Ridge. The air was cool, and a faint mist hung over the streets. It was an ordinary day for most, but for the Harris family, it would be the day their lives would be shattered forever. Emily, a bright 16-year-old with a contagious smile and a love for science, had left her house early that morning, eager to catch the bus to school. It wasn't unusual for her to walk the short distance to the bus stop alone. After all, Maple Ridge was considered one of the safest places to live. But that morning, Emily never made it to school. She simply vanished without a trace. The news of Emily's disappearance spread quickly through the town, and soon, the search began. Police combed the streets, interviewed neighbors, and followed up on every lead. Days turned into weeks and weeks into months, but there was no sign of Emily. Her parents, Mark and Lisa Harris, were beside themselves with grief. They couldn't understand what had happened. There was no evidence of a struggle, no ransom note, no sign of foul play. Emily had just vanished. The town rallied together to search. Flyers were posted, and vigils were held. But each passing day made it harder for Emily's parents to hold on to hope. The police investigation stalled, and as the months stretched into years, the case grew colder. The once vibrant memories of Emily's laugh, her voice, and her dreams faded, replaced by the unbearable silence of a missing child. Mark Harris, once a strong man, became a shadow of himself. His mornings were spent pacing the house, staring at Emily's empty room, a hollow expression on his face. Lisa, on the other hand, couldn't stop searching. She became obsessed with finding clues, with piecing together the mystery that had torn her family apart. Every evening, she would light a candle, pray silently for Emily's return, and vow not to stop until she had answers. But the truth was far more chilling than anyone could have imagined. It wasn't until 7 years later that the first clue finally surfaced. By then, the case had gone cold, and the town had moved on. Life had returned to some semblance of normalcy, albeit with the shadow of Emily's disappearance always lingering in the background. But one quiet afternoon in the fall, a hiker walking through the nearby forest stumbled upon something that would change everything. The hiker had been enjoying a leisurely stroll through the woods when he noticed something strange. A torn backpack caught in a bush. Curious, he approached and discovered it was Emily's. The bag was worn, and a few items had fallen out, but it was unmistakable. Inside the backpack was a journal, a notebook filled with scribbled notes and sketches that belonged to Emily. The hiker immediately called the authorities, and the search for answers was reignited. Detective Sarah Collins, a seasoned investigator, was assigned to the case. She had been working in the department for over 15 years and had seen her fair share of missing persons cases. But there was something different about this one. The discovery of Emily's backpack was the first tangible evidence they had in years. And Detective Collins was determined to uncover the truth. Detective Collins wasn't new to cases involving missing people, but the unsettling nature of this one gnawed at her. She had children of her own and could feel the weight of Lisa's grief, even if she hadn't met her. This case felt personal in ways that others hadn't. Collins examined the journal carefully. The pages were filled with Emily's thoughts, observations, and schoolwork. But as she flipped through the pages, one particular entry caught her attention. It was dated the day before Emily disappeared. It read, "I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. I feel like someone's been watching me. It's probably nothing, but there's something about the way they look at me. Like they know something I don't. Maybe I'm just being paranoid, but I can't shake the feeling. I hope I'm wrong." The words sent a shiver down Detective Collins' spine. It was clear that Emily had been aware of something. But what? Was someone stalking her? Had she been targeted? And why had she never mentioned it to anyone? Detective Collins couldn't ignore the unease she felt reading the entry. She dove deeper into Emily's life. Interviews with classmates, teachers, and friends revealed that Emily had become more withdrawn in the months leading up to her disappearance. Once the lively girl in science class, she now avoided eye contact and kept to herself more and more. Her friends recalled Emily talking about strange encounters at the bus stop, describing a man who had been following her for a while. He had always been just far enough away to seem unnoticeable, but too persistent to be considered a coincidence. One classmate, Jessica, described how Emily had told her that she no longer felt safe taking the same route to school. Jessica remembered Emily saying, "He watches me, always from a distance. But every time I look back, he's gone." It wasn't much, but it was the first real clue they had. The case had taken an even darker turn. Detective Collins now had a name to pursue. This man, whoever he was, had been the last person to see Emily. He had been watching her, and now Emily was gone. It was too much of a coincidence. Was this man the key to everything? And if so, why hadn't he been noticed before? As Collins continued to investigate, another lead appeared. A woman named Maria Vasquez. Maria was a teacher at the school Emily had attended, and she had resigned shortly before Emily vanished. Collins found this peculiar, as Maria had been a popular teacher, well-liked by the students. Her sudden departure seemed out of place. When Collins spoke with Maria's former colleagues, they revealed that Maria had been involved with some of her students outside of school hours. She had tutored them privately and offered extra lessons, but rumors had begun to swirl about the nature of her interactions. Some students claimed that she had been too friendly with certain boys, too interested in their personal lives. The whispers were there, but no one had ever gone to the authorities. Collins felt a surge of unease. Could Maria have been involved with Emily? Had she known something about Emily's disappearance? She needed to find Maria, and when she did, the answers would be even darker than she imagined. Collins tracked down Maria, who was living under a new name in a small town a few hours away. When Collins confronted her, Maria's face drained of color. She had been expecting this. Maria had tried to keep her past hidden, but the truth always comes to light. Maria broke down, revealing that she had been in contact with a man named Victor Hayes. Victor was a local businessman known for his charity work, but he had ties to underground networks. Maria confessed to Collins that she had been working with Hayes and that Emily's disappearance was not random. It was orchestrated. Emily had been the latest in a long line of victims, all handpicked by Hayes for his sickening collection. Maria had become a pawn in a much darker game, lured in by promises of money and power. Maria told Collins about the elaborate system Hayes had set up to exploit young girls. She had been forced to play a part in it, all while pretending to be a respectable teacher. Maria claimed that Emily had been chosen because she was the perfect target, bright, trusting, and unsuspecting. Maria had been too afraid to speak up sooner, but now, with the evidence mounting, she was ready to reveal everything. The deeper Detective Collins dug, the more disturbing the truth became. Victor Hayes had been running an underground trafficking ring under the guise of philanthropic ventures. He used his influence and wealth to lure in young, vulnerable girls, with the help of people like Maria, who had unknowingly become part of his sickening operation. Emily, the brightest star in her small town, had been snatched from her life and hidden away, used as part of this gruesome scheme. When Collins confronted Victor Hayes, he didn't try to deny it. He didn't even flinch when she told him she knew everything. In fact, he seemed almost relieved, as if finally getting caught had been inevitable. Hayes explained that he had done this for years, carefully orchestrating each abduction. Emily had been one of the unlucky ones, picked because she had caught his eye. He made her disappear and erased her life from everyone's memory. But Collins was determined. She had the pieces now, and she would bring him to justice. The final showdown happened in a remote warehouse on the outskirts of town. With a team of officers, Collins raided the location. Inside, they found more victims, girls who had been held captive for months, their identities stripped away. Some were Emily's age, others even younger. It was a nightmare, but the real twist came when they found a locked room. Inside was a woman, pale and gaunt, chained to the wall. It was Emily, alive. The reunion was bittersweet. Emily had been living in that hell for so long, her mind broken, but still, she was alive. Her strength and will to survive had kept her going. As they freed her, Emily whispered, "I knew you'd come for me." Victor Hayes was arrested, and the case against him was solid. Maria Vasquez, though complicit, was granted a plea deal in exchange for her cooperation. She was sentenced to a long prison term, but her involvement in the tragedy would never be forgotten. As for Emily, she returned home to her family, but the scars of the years she had lost would never fade. Maple Ridge, once a peaceful town, would forever be marked by the darkness that had hidden in its midst. But at least Emily's story had a resolution. It wasn't the one they had hoped for, but it was the truth, and sometimes that was all they could ever get. Never forget, no matter how deeply secrets are buried, the truth always comes to light, and resilience in the face of adversity can lead to justice and healing. If you loved the story, don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment to stay updated on our next thrilling tale.